Good evening and welcome to the No One Likes Us Talking View from the Opposition fan reaction. This evening I'm getting reactions from Stephan Roux, who gave us his predictions earlier in the week, and I'll be doing this virtually as I'm afraid he couldn't join us. We're going to be looking back at Millwall's Halloween horror show 3-0 loss to Huddersfield Town with not a lot to shout about from it. So without further ado, I asked Stephan 4 questions. The first of which was this a fair result? His response was very fair on the balance of play. 1-0 would have been disappointing with Huddersfield's performance. The second question that I asked Stephan was, what was the best play by Huddersfield? Any key highlights, saves, great bits of defensive work or goals? His response was the first and third goals were fantastic. A real team effort, lovely passes and forward looking. The opener had 11 players involved in 26 passes, so not bad at all. The third question that I sent him was potentially the best play by us, by the Millwall side. Any highlights, saves, defence? His response was, I imagine what a lot of us feel, not much to write home about. Pressed to get a decent number of corners, but they were well defended by the Huddersfield centre-backs. Wasted set plays. Not seen a lot of great set plays from a lot of the Championship teams so far, but essentially not a lot there for him to go on. The fourth question I posed to Stephan was, how did he feel the officials got on during the game? His response was the referee wasn't bad, slightly pedantic at times. Linesman had an absolute mare, couldn't keep up and let the players tell him what happened, but seemingly he was on hand for Pippa's and Huddersfield's second goal. So, to wrap up the weekend's action from us, and just to have a look at what are some of the things that Stephan said and to put those into focus. That was Huddersfield Town's first away victory in London for a while, having previously lost 12 out of 16. They had seemingly, as Stephan said, a better shot ratio to us. They had 12 shots to our 10, 7 of which were on target to our 4. Possession was a little bit over what it was the other night at Preston. So Huddersfield had 55% possession, we had 45%. We had a lot more corners, but we've really failed to make anything of those. And I think that's something that I would say we have done previously. Huddersfield spent a lot of time trying to close us down. I did think that in the first half, as at Preston, and again, this is something that I think is not being picked up particularly well in the Championship, was a penalty shout for Jake Cooper when he was manhandled in the box and fell to the floor. This also happened at Preston the other night, and you know, I don't know whether the referees think he's going down too lightly, but there's definitely something in that either they're not being as hot on it as they were the World Cup a couple of summers ago, where if you remember, England got consistent number of penalties due to defenders manhandling at some of our bigger players. But that's definitely, for me, that was I thought that was a talking point and potentially a turning point. It was 0-0 at the time. I think their second goal, usually Bart, you'd expect really to save that. He parries it slightly up into the air and it goes in. The third goal on the break was a fantastic finish, and I think that really, for me, potentially a 2-0 scoreline, I think would have been probably a fair result given the balance of play and what we saw. In terms of other talking points, I know that Tom Bradshaw has come in for a lot of criticism. The one thing that I would say about Tom is the fact that he hasn't had a lot of game time. I think if you look, he sort of sat on the bench for 2 matches before Preston, came on for 15 minutes there, and he's done 45 in the first half. Not really getting the kind of service I think that he would thrive on. I think as well, Alex Pearson in his post-match comments mentioned about us starting sluggishly. I think there's something to say there about a 4.5-hour journey back from Preston, late into sort of Wednesday morning. I can't imagine they will have trained particularly well on Wednesday, potentially had a day off. Then Thursday and Friday, 2 light days of training, and then straight into another game. So, with the size of our squad, 25 players really, I think, again, this is going to be something that's going to come up time and time again. Although, actually, when I looked at it, Huddersfield have a very similar both budget in terms of what their squad is worth and how much they're spending on players, but also on the number of players they have to call on. I do think it is worth noting, though, that they brought in 5 players. They made 5 substitutions from their previous game, and potentially some of that Premier League money has gone into keeping the quality of their stock quite high, with the exception of Carlon Grant, who I said had gone previously. So Halloween at the Den this year really was a time to forget. And I think we're now looking to a difficult trip to Norwich before hosting Sheffield Wednesday next weekend. We will hopefully be speaking to a Sheffield Wednesday fan later this week. And until then, good luck with everything. Thank you very much. Bye for now.